2 years ago. But today, the wife cooks and she puts food on the table as she used to. That the wife is living in denial today.
Hello guys, and welcome to today's episode. My name is Liz Gige, and this is the channel of Liz Gige Official in the show of Light in the Tunnel. We are back again with a very interesting episode. We are here, kama kawaida, to just bring education and just bring hope. As we normally say, this is light in the tunnel. We have come to bring hope. We've come to bring the light to those people who think they have been into darkness for the longest time, and just tell you this is not the end of it all. There is God in heaven who really looks up, who really looks at us, and He really values us. And when you start knowing that you're that important person, that is when you start valuing yourself. So karibu sana. Kindly remember, before we begin the episode, remember to subscribe, remember to show me the thumbs up, and also share with your friends so that when you become educated and when you become encouraged, they can also be encouraged. So today we have our guest. His name is David Wairago, and he's a counselor. He's here to help us understand a topic on how to deal with the loss, and especially because I realize in these life errands, we lose a lot of things. There are those people who think loss is about losing a loved one. No, it's about losing so many things, and he's going to be explaining all those things to us and also help us to understand how we can be able to overcome this loss. Because in one way or another, we feel so lost when we have lost something that we really value and something that we really love and appreciate. So karibu sana, and let us walk in this together as we introduce him to come and introduce himself, and yes, so that you may be able to know him and understand also the topic. Karibu sana.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, I want you to introduce yourself, let the viewers know who you are and what you do, and they'll be able to understand why we are here today.
Welcome viewers. As you have heard from Liz, my name is David Wairago. I'm a counselor. Been trained and also registered counselor with the Kenya Psychologist Association. So I'm here today with the invite of Liz in the channel, Light in the Tunnel, to share some few things, a few items about the topic she just introduced, and further we'll move on. So stay tuned, follow through, and I hope at the end of the day, at the end of the topic, there will be some light in the tunnel that you are walking in that seems to be very dark. Thank you so much.
Karibu sana. It is such an awesome introduction, and we really thank God. We call this channel, or rather the program, Light in the Tunnel. And why we called you on board, it is because, as I had said earlier, we go through losses in lives. And we want to understand how we can overcome a loss. And before we go even how we overcome, we go to how we can overcome the loss. I want to understand, or rather we want to understand, what is a loss?
A loss, just as the word itself explains itself, psychologically, and when we want to define about a loss, we can, in a nutshell, say that it's that aspect of you are used to a certain routine, you are used to a certain thing, then all of a sudden it is not with you. Then when you don't have that thing that makes your daily routine, then we say that one is a loss.
So can you maybe say a loss is a grief?
Grief is part of loss, and we lose so many things. Grief comes as a result of losing something.
Oh.
So when there is no loss, then there is no grief.
There is no grief.
We become joyful when we do not have a loss. But anytime we have a loss, then we start the grieving process. We grieve because we have had a loss.
We have a loss.
Yes.
Wow, awesome. Yeah, because there's a friend of mine who used to think that grieving is also losing. And now we're happy to know that grieving comes as a result of a loss. Now, I've gone through a loss, and I'm thinking this is the end of me. Can I still rise again?
You can, if you want.
Oh, it's a choice.
It's a choice that you make. Because when you lose something, you are not stagnated. Lose is, you can say lose is instantaneous. Loss, when you say I've gone through a loss, meaning there is something that is missing in your daily routine. Then you start the process, the grieving process. Loss is an action. Something has gone out of your routine. Maybe the death of a loved one, loss of a job, loss of a relationship, diagnosis with a terminal illness. Now that is loss. You start now the process. Grief is a process. And grief, as it is a process, every process has got stages. So loss and grief, you lose something so that you can start to grieve about it. You cannot grieve when there is no loss. So grief is a process. And we can say now for in a more understandable word that grief now is a healing process. You start towards healing. Because when you have a loss, then you must be in a position to heal. Unless you don't want, when you don't grieve, then we say that by not grieving, you are also grieving. But that now we call it abnormal grief. Yes, you can never say that I am not grieve. When you don't grieve, you grieve.
There are people who think like I'm so much immune and like I don't care. I don't care if I've lost it. For example, if I lose a job, I have this tendency of saying like I'll find another job anyway. If I lose someone that I love, I'm like no, I can. These things normally happen anyway. I'm not the first one, and so I seem to have that tendency of I don't care person.
When we go through the stages of grief and mark your words, you remember them. When you talk to yourself and try to imagine that you don't care, what you have done is that you have gone through a certain stage of grief. So nobody is just numb to loss that you do not grieve. And as I've said, by not grieving, then we say you have an abnormal grief.
So either way you...
Either way.
I know there are those people who are just immune of any loss that comes their way.
No one is immune. No one.
No one.
No one. No one.
Really?
In one way or another. It's just, let me give you an example of an election. When you say that I won't vote for candidate A, I will not go to vote because I don't want. But inside yourself, you are saying candidate A is better than candidate B. Now to tell you, by refusing to vote, what you are doing, you are voting
for the other one.
For the candidate that you don't like. Because when you go to vote, you vote for the candidate that you like, you give him an extra vote. When you do not vote, you are depriving the candidate that you like that vote and adding it to the candidate that you don't like. So nobody can say, I don't care. When you say you don't care, that is actually one of the stages of grief. So what happens is that this person will grieve abnormally by only going through one stage.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow, amazing. So now you know those people who have a tendency of don't caring, you're also grieving, but you've been told abnormally. So that is good. Now, there are people who think, like, I have a loss of death. Somebody else has lost a job. Somebody else has lost something that he or she really valued. Are these losses the same? Can we treat them the same? Or one is so huge than the other, the magnitudes?
When you say, number one, you cannot lose something that you do not treasure. You can't. You can only say, I have lost because you treasure that which has been lost. The loss of a job and the loss of a loved one, all of them are losses. And because we are going to look at the stages that you go through in a loss recovery, the stages are universal. However, one would argue and say, if I lose a job, tomorrow I can be employed.
Yeah.
But if I lose a loved one, I cannot replace
the loved one.
Yes. The thinking is okay, and it is true. You may lose a job, ultimately get a better job than the one that you lost. But once you lose somebody, once you lose health, once you through terminal illness, when you lose a loved one, it's ultimately that you can never replace. So the diversity or the intensity of loss may now vary from what has been lost. Today you can lose a job, tomorrow you get a job. The same person that lost a job yesterday loses a loved one today. The process is the same, but the intensity and the magnitude of the loss now becomes different. The loss of a job, you get a job tomorrow. Loss of a relationship, you may like to start another relationship tomorrow. But when a loved one now dies, that loss is irreplaceable. So it varies with the loss. Yes, it varies with the loss. But the stages of recovery are just one and the same, they are universal.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, there's losing two things. There's losing a loved one. There's losing a dignity. Losing a loved one, thinking you can overcome. But how do people lose dignity and still be able to rise again? And how do you really lose that dignity and be able to stand again?
Losing dignity and regaining it is not just a walk in the park. Give yourself an example. When you stick something on the wall, then it's kind of a sellotape or gum you stick on the wall. When you remove it and try to stick it again, the adhesive now is reduced, so it will not be as the same as it was in the first place. Losing dignity, you may regain it yourself, within yourself, because now you have gone through the process. But now to people, because you cannot lose, it's not intra. It's not intra that I've fallen in the bathroom and now I'm going to wake up because nobody has noticed. But when you lose dignity, it is dignity, you lose dignity to the community, the people that you yourself were a significant other to them, an important person to them, a person they trusted you. If today, for example, you are a preacher to them, and you lose your dignity through infidelity, as much as now you try to convince people that you are now okay, many people may not really understand you, and they may not really trust you. So dignity is not a walk in the park. It isn't.
Can it be regained?
Dignity. Intra, within yourself. Because it was, for example, through infidelity. And then you say, I will not associate myself with such actions again. Within yourself, you regain it. But in the eyes of people that trusted you, it may not be easy. Just look at people who have fallen. The great musicians, the great actors, the big politicians, and especially the people who, the preachers, the musicians who have a name. And you have heard, oh, this one sired a child outside there. As much as today he worships and everybody is carried away. At the end of the worship, you will say, but remember, this guy is sired outside. So nobody will tend to try. Many, as a human being, they may not be able to admit and say for sure that now you have regained your dignity. Dignity is not a walk in the park to regain.
Okay.
Yes.
And so it can be a very hard thing knowing that, okay, you can earn it, as you've said,
yes,
inwardly.
Yes.
But how do you now recover knowing that you, as my friend, do not trust me? In as much as I know and I believe now, from those scandals, now I'm out of whatever thing I did and I lost my dignity. Now I stand again. You
will always live a life of guilt.
So
and guilt and resentment, because a number of people, a number of friends will automatically walk away. They would not want to be associated with you. And regaining them back, the bond is not as it was.
So it's you to live believing in yourself.
Yes.
And now you know how others take you.
Yes.
That's nice. So thank you so much for continued support and also watching this episode of Light in the Tunnel. We are continuing with a program of how to deal with the loss. And as you can see, we are learning a lot. Thank you so much. This channel, or rather this program, is supported by Greenville. It's being sponsored by Greenville Hotel. At Greenville Hotels, they got a lot of facilities. We got restaurants, we have affordable rooms, we have gym, we have accommodations, and a lot of other things. You can see their number on the screen. You can be able to do your bookings. And in the time of COVID-19, with the new directives, we are able to offer takeaways. That means you can order your food at home and they can be delivered. I'll also be pinning their website there so that you're able to order your food and they can be able to deliver right on your doors. So feel so much welcome at Greenville Hotel. They are our sponsors and we really appreciate Greenville Hotel. They say experience the difference. Okay, welcome back to the show. We're still continuing with the topic, how to deal with the loss. And our counselor is just here. And I know you are listening and you're being trained and you're also being encouraged on how to deal with the loss when it comes to you. And we've just been told that nobody is immune when it comes to losses. So every one of us is a candidate of loss. You can lose a loved one, you can lose a job, you can lose anything that you value in life. And so when you lose it, we want to know how to overcome it. Sawa sawa? So continue listening. Now, I want to know, is there a season that is called a season of loss in life? A season of loss.
We can't say that for real there is a season destined for loss. Loss comes at different times. But there are people who have got multiple losses that occurs to them, and to them they might interpret it as a season of loss. Wakati huu nimepoteza mambo mengi sana, but it is not destined that there is a season for loss. No, there can never be a season for loss.
Okay.
But sometimes loss can come and you think it was sent to you. You can lose a job when immediately you reach in the house, without even, you have not even started processing the job loss. When you arrive at your house, you find your sister. She tells you, I've been sent, that our mother is no more. Then by the time you are discussing about a mother who has gone, that's also another loss, more serious than whatever you are thinking about the job. Then you get a phone call, your uncle who was in Mombasa has been sentenced to death. It's also a loss because now you don't have the social interaction with him. And then by the time you start processing, you hear your best friend is no more. Multiple losses, but we cannot say as such that there is a season
of losses. Yeah, because I now understand it as you say that you can be in a multiple losses, but doesn't mean it's a season. Because that is what people interpret it to say, like, hey, it's like I'm going through a season of losing, until you create another fear of like, oh, Kube, there is a season that comes in this lifetime and you start losing. So it just happens as life goes by. So thank you so much. I want to know, can we overcome losses? Can we?
As I said from the beginning, healing process is a choice. You choose to undergo the healing process, and you can as well choose not to go through the healing process. But at one time, it will catch up with you because it will pile in you, and the body and the brain has got its own way of dealing with issues. For example, I give you a very good example. When you have lost death of a loved one, then you say, I'm strong enough. I'm even the one who is conducting all the meetings. I'm almost doing everything. Have you ever asked yourself why, when you go to the burial, then you find so many people crying? If you take a random sampling of these people, take 10 people randomly, then you ask one person, why are you crying? One person will tell you, you know, as I was going to view the body, he was just sleeping the way my father was sleeping. That person is not crying because of the current death. He is now mourning the unfinished grief. And that is why we say that at a certain point, we have unfinished businesses. If you go through battling, and you remember, even as yourself today, maybe in primary school or in secondary school or in college, there was a teacher who was so cruel to you. and the teacher used to wear maybe a red shirt. Anytime, because you did not process that, anytime you find somebody with a red shirt, you remember
the teacher.
Remember the teacher. So nobody, when you say you don't go through the grief process, at one time, now unconsciously, you will have to go through it. And that's why I started saying, not grieving is abnormal grief. Nobody is immune. Everybody will at one time grieve for the loss they had. At one time, whatsoever they will. Even in relationships, even when you say I will not grieve because I'm in another relationship, when the current relationship will have a problem, even the most slight one, you will start saying, hata afadhali yule alikuwa ananielewa, huyu hanielewi. You know you are now grieving, but in the unconscious. So we encourage people, go through it, be in it, just be in it, and you go through. And that's the healing process. Because if you don't heal, then you remain sick. Yes.
Now I heard you saying about stages of healing.
Yes.
How do we go through these stages?
The stages are universal. Once we identify that there is now a loss, first of all, why I say it is universal, it applies to, when we look at about 4 examples, we say loss of a relationship, maybe whether divorce or an existing relationship that has come to an end. We look at death of a loved one. We look at loss of a job, and we look at terminal illness. Those are the losses that we say they are quite profound. So now, the first stage, we say the first stage of accepting and going through loss is denial. Denial, when you are told you received a phone call. First of all, you come to the office in the morning, then the human resource serves you with a letter. And when you open the letter, it tells you your services have been terminated, and that the company doesn't require your services. The first thing you say, oh no, this can't be true. The first thing, the first stage is denial. First of all, you deny. When you get that phone call that a loved one mentioned, a loved person, because I don't want to say, when I say you've lost a parent, not everybody is attached to their parents. And that is why the model now says death of a loved one. Do you know there are people who love friends than they love their parents? Yes. That is why the model outlined death of a loved one. Then you receive that call and you are told your best friend has died. The first thing you would say, no, it's not true. How? It's not true. Now, denial is a very important stage in the process of grief as a result of a loss, because it gives you time. Denial gives you time to process. With the brain now that is processing. So and so is dead. No. But we were with him yesterday. I know. We want to meet today. No. When you're talking about you've been terminated in your services, you say no, but yesterday they had given me a task to perform. No, they will come calling back. But I had unfinished work to do in the office. No, I am the one who has the key. You say you give yourself reasons as to why you should not accept that you have been sacked. as to why you don't want to accept your loved one has gone. So the first stage is denial. Denial is very important in the process because it gives you that time to start now the journey of recovery.
No, denial.
Yes, there must be denial first of all. But now all these stages, they have got a time limit because every stage ushers you into the other stage. So you cannot live in one stage. And when you live in one stage, then your grief is abnormal.
How long should one stage take normally?
For example, okay, no definite time, but the sooner you negotiate through that stage, the better for you because it will usher you into more meaningful stages ahead up to the stage where now you reach to an acceptance. So we can't say there is a definite stage, a definite time that you must stay in this stage for this time. There isn't, but the sooner you are ushered into another stage, the better because you'll be dealing with these issues as they come into every stage. That is there.
So I've lost, I've denied, and I've come into terms with my loss.
You deny and you don't come into terms until the fifth stage. What you do is that you negotiate through denial. Then by the time you're asking yourself, for example, you may say, I've gone through divorce. Then the first words, you know that somebody is in denial because of the words that they are talking about. Somebody who is divorced will, for example, tell you, they are just upset with what I'm doing. Tomorrow they will come back. My husband will come back, my wife will come back. That's a person who is in denial. A person who has lost that job, they will tell you, they were just mistaken. They just need me. They are just mistaken. Wataniita tu usingoje uone. That person is in denial. When there is death of a loved one, you say, she's not gone. After all, she will come around anytime to school. So she's not gone. You are still denying. And when you are diagnosed with a terminal illness, then you say, now they are machines. They are machines. Zao ni zile zina test pai ati iko na virus. Hii mashini zao ni mbaya. Wakirudia watakuta mimi niko sawa. So if somebody had a loss last year, and these are the words he or she is talking today, we will define the stage by what people talk about the loss. That's the time you know this person is in denial or this person is in the second stage. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you can't overcome until you are now in the last stage, and that is the fifth stage.
You must. Now, it might take, say, very few little time to go through them. There are people who take little time going through them, but we must follow one another. There are people who take years to go. Maybe you have ever heard that somebody, the spouse died 2 years ago, but today the wife cooks and she puts food on the table as she used to do. That the wife is living in denial today. And that one we call it crazy. Any name you just tag that one, but now to us that one is abnormal grief. Because how will you move on when you are just stagnated at one stage? You can't. So you must accept to move to the next stage so that you can process the grief.
Okay.
Yes.
So which is the next stage?
After saying that you define how a person is, the stage a person is in loss, the loss cycle, you define by the language that people are speaking. So after now you've gone through denial, and now you are told by two people that so and so is dead. You see in the current technology, you find an invite, join us in this link, or you are added into a group, you are called by so and so, so and so, so and so. So you say, sure, it is true, this guy is dead. Sure, I've lost my job. Because now you wake up in the morning,
You find yourself not going to work.
you find yourself you're not going to work, then you know for sure that
there is no job.
you wake up one morning and you find yourself alone. Whereas there was a husband, there was a wife yesterday, 2-3 days he or she is not there. You find yourself going to the clinic and finding that you have started medication. So you start, yesterday you were saying their machines are wrong. Today you are taking medicine. Then you realize, oh, it's true, I'm sick. Now you move from denial, because all signs now are indicating that it is true you are now sick. It is true your spouse has left you. It is true your loved one is gone. It is true you are not working again. Then you shift from denial, you go into the second stage that now is called anger. So you become very angry. And when you become very angry, you start now redirecting anger to other people. You might find yourself directing anger to what we call inanimate objects. Inanimate objects, like tables, animate, things that have got life.
That is why you find people banging everything.
Yes, throwing tantrums to things that cannot tables. Those are the inanimate objects. And when you can even direct your anger to that person who has died, you can direct your anger to your boss. Those are animate objects. You can direct your anger to the hospital that tested you. You can direct your anger to your spouse who left you. So in this stage, it helps you now to remove the bitterness, because it is a build-up of bitterness. After denying, now you come to anger. It is a build-up of bitterness within, and for you to go through this bitterness, you will redirect that bitterness to other things, and more so to lesser objects. For example, it is your boss who fired you. You find that you are becoming so harsh to your maid, house help, to even your dog at home, to your children, even to your pets. And therefore, when you redirect that anger, it is also a process, and a very important process of healing, because when you redirect and talk, we say that you are going through the healing process, and that redirecting and that talking, we now call it catharsis. You are talking about your boss, pouring out the bitterness that way, or whatever. And you will know that that person is still in bitterness when somebody will break up and say, I hate him. He must regret why he left me. You know that person is bitter. It's very bitter. That person is very bitter. When you lose a job, you see that boss is terrible, and I wish that company now even a big fire comes and burns the whole factory. That's bitterness. When somebody has died, then you become so angry with a dead person, then you say, why did she look left, right, then left, then close? Why did she just close blindly? If she looked and she was more careful, she would not have died. You are redirecting your anger to other people. And when you are terminally ill, you start blaming God and saying, why did God leave me at this time? I've always been faithful to Him. Why leave me at this time? I'm so angry with God, and I don't want anybody to mention God around. When somebody mentions God, then you say, where was God when I was terminally ill? And therefore now, anger is the second stage, but still helps you to remove the bitterness, so that now you can go to the next stage after now pouring it out. When you don't pour it out, it hurts you even the more. It's like now you heard somebody say, you are so bitter until you want to drink poison and wait for somebody else to die. Bitterness will help you to remove what is in you, then you usher in the third stage. So it is as important, it's a very important stage. And as much as you pretend that you are not bitter, and I've said that in the unconscious, you are always bitter. In the unconscious. You may be able to hide the bitterness, but in the unconscious, you are bitter. So that's a very healthy stage to go through, so that it can help you to pour out your thoughts and whatever you think.
Your views in the midst of the loss.
Yes.
Now you've gone through the anger, and you've poured out things that people even around you didn't expect you to speak out. And people tend to think, maybe at that age, I would say, people think you're going insane, or now the depression has developed. You know, a layman would think so. Now, in the midst of anger, what is the other stage that you go? Do we see you going mad, as people say?
Not every person will exhibit, be throwing tantrums, talking so much, because this is just a stage. There will be a stage, there will be a further stage that now will explain what you are saying. But when you become angry, you start now cursing. When you are cursing at that stage. But there is another stage that now will show, if you don't negotiate through this one, it might affect you. But bitterness, you redirect bitterness to other people, to inanimate objects, that kind of a thing. Then when you have done that, whatever was in you comes out at that stage, and it is very healthy when it comes out.
That's when it is within you.
When it is inside, it will burn you. It will become very unhealthy, and it will consume all your vitamin C, which constitute the immune system, and now it will kill you. It might even kill you. So the better if you go through the anger stage and go eat healthily, so that you can usher into the next stage.
The next stage, which is?
Now the third stage is called bargaining. After now you are angry, you redirected your anger to inanimate objects, to animate objects. The dead one, you talk to the dead person. Why did you leave me? You see, those people do that at the anger stage, and it's a very important stage in this recovery process. So when you are done with the anger stage, you go to the third one, that is bargaining. And during this, you know, when you are in the anger stage, you think that you have energy. But immediately you enter into bargaining, now you feel helpless. You don't look the same again. You now seem vulnerable, and now you start bargaining. Bargaining is a defense against the emotions that you are going through, the emotions of grief. It's a defense mechanism. then you start bargaining. And what will make you know that this person is now at the bargaining stage? Bargaining, we can say in Kiswahili ni kujuta. Unajutia, unajuta. Then you start saying at the bargaining stage, if you lost a job, you say, if only I worked during the weekend, they would have seen my usefulness. If only I worked during the weekend. Bargaining, ni kama ni kujuta, unajuta, unaona ni kama sikuja kazi weekend, ndio maana wamenifuta. Bargaining, you see, and bargaining will only be characterized by if only. If only I came early in the morning. If only I kept time. They have sacked me because I did keep time. If only I kept time. If only I did leave work early. If only I worked during the weekend. When you have a breakup, you will say, oh, I wish. If only I had more time with him, he would have understood me. Now that I did not have time with him, that's why he has left me. If only I had time with him. The bargaining stage is a stage now that it's like you are now regretting. If only we had gone to the doctor earlier, I would have been diagnosed at the early stages of this terminal illness, and maybe I've gotten the medicine. If I called that person, if I called Mom yesterday, he would have talked to me. I wish I had visited. Bargaining is characterized by if only I had. Nimesema kwa Kiswahili ni unajuta. Kwa nini sikumpigia simu? Kwa nini
that means you've called yourself a meeting.
Yes. And it's as if now in bargaining you are blaming yourself. You see now, you are blaming now yourself.
Stop taking the anger now to other people.
Yes.
And you direct it to yourself.
Yes. Now the fourth stage, after now bargaining, blaming yourself and doing all this, now you enter into a very difficult stage that is called depression. Bargaining is active. Active in this way, as we have said, you call yourself to a meeting. Said, if only I was coming home, I was coming to work early. If only I had time with him. Now depression is the quiet stage in the grief process. Now it answers your question. In anger, you talk it out. In bargaining, you blame yourself. In depression, silent. It's a quiet stage in grief management. But in the early stages, you may find yourself running the emotions, trying to stay ahead of everybody. But now, depression now, you are mom. You are now self-reflection. Now, in a more healthy manner, you may also choose to isolate yourself. So there will be a change in your behavior. You isolate yourself, meaning that you withdraw.
Evidently.
Yes. It will be evident, though silently. You isolate.
Like people will realize you've coiled.
Yes.
Oh.
You are outgoing, now you are reserved. They will know that this person is in depression. It's a very delicate stage, and if not negotiated through, now this is where people die, because they are in depression. And that doesn't mean that depression is easy. It's quite a hard stage to go through, and it is inevitable. You cannot avoid it. You have to go through it. And if you find somebody who is in depression, I say this is a quiet stage in management of grief, and somebody now will lose hope. At depression stage, you lose hope and say, after all, this is a breakup. After all, why should I go on? When you lost your job, then you say, I don't know how to go on from here. When you lost a loved one, what am I going to do without him? When there is an illness, my whole life comes to an end just like this. Self-pity again. Then you start regretting again. You start losing hope. In beginning, you regretted. In beginning, you lose hope. You see now the difference. In beginning, you blame yourself. In depression, you blame yourself. I mean, you lose hope. You lose hope. After all, bila bwanangu, si kama tu kukufa. Bila hii kazi, maisha si imefika mwisho. Bila yeye, hata si sasa hakuna maana ya life. That is depression, where it is characterized by silence, the quiet stage. Then you lose hope. Now the final stage is acceptance. And acceptance is not a happy thing. It doesn't mean you've moved past the grief. Not that.
I thought it's light now in the tunnel.
Okay, light in the tunnel. Very good, very good. Very, very illustrated. Light in the tunnel, but you are still in the tunnel.
Okay.
Who wants to live in the tunnel? Nobody. There is now light in the tunnel, but you are inside, inside the tunnel. So you may feel different in this stage. That's entirely expected. You have had major changes in your life, and you must accept that now there are good days ahead, but also appreciate there could be also bad days ahead. There is now light in the tunnel, but you are still in the tunnel, because we said it's a process. And until you are now out of the tunnel, that is when you can say, now I am free. We are saying, if for example we are grieving through somebody who has died, you have now accepted. And when you have accepted that there is death of a loved one, it will be characterized by you saying, okay, it's unfortunate that he has died, but I thank God for the many years we gave us with the deceased. You see, now you have accepted and appreciate God for the days. Yes. If it is the terminal illness, you say, after all, I have an opportunity to make up things that I did not make up, call my children, tell them what I would want them to do. You have accepted. If it is a breakup, you would say, ultimately, this was a healthy choice for me, hoping that you get a better choice, or you may get even a bad one ahead. And finally, if it's loss of a job, then you would say, I'll be able to find a way out and get another job. Now when you go through the 5 stages healthily, then you can say your journey through grief is complete. Yes. Now after going through those stages, if you miss one at a certain point in time in your life, you will still go through it.
Really?
Yes, you will still go through that.
So the five stages are very important.
They are very important.
You can't jump from the number 1 to all the way to 5. You
can delay number 1. Take very little time in 2, 3, 4, and then to 5. Then people will say, he did not grieve. What you did was you took shorter time than taking a long time in the stages. But you have to grieve. You have to go through the stages. If you jump the stages at one time in life, you find somebody who is dead and you start crying, not because of that person, because of the person you did not cry for. And that is how now the process is. Yes.
So my people, I know now you are enlightened. If you didn't know, now you know. And that the 5 stages of dealing with the loss are very important and very crucial. And you should not judge anyone. If I'm in the first stage or in the second stage or rather in the 5th stage, all those stages are there to help us. So if somebody is angry about any loss, it is very important. Let them be. Just support them. Just be there for them, to encourage them to be able to move out of these stages healthy. So God bless you. I wanted to give your words of parting shot, and I wanted you to know that we appreciate you coming to the program and be able to help these people understand the stages on how to deal with the losses when it comes. And now that they know, please feel free to say your words of parting.
My final words to you listener, you viewer. Loss. Everyone at one time goes through loss, and as you have heard, as we have talked about, feel free to go through the stages, and at the end of the day you'll be healthy. The other thing is that as I started by saying, that I'm a registered counselor. I'm available, talk through family life, children and adolescents, drug abuse, all around.
Can people find you?
Yes, they can find me.
Your number?
I'm available at 0722 212148. That is 0722 212148. Call me. We'll be able to talk and attend what you are going through. We don't call them problems, we call them challenges.
Yes.
Everyone has got challenges, and feel free, call, we'll be able to negotiate after you make that important call. Anytime, don't mind, anytime I'm available, my phone is always on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you. And
Thank
we
you.
want to bless you with an expositor Bible, because we know you're also an elder.
Yes.
So at the light in the tunnel, we hope that the word of God brings light,
Yes.
even above any other thing.
Yes.
So God bless you so much.
Thank you so much.
Even for being here today and be able to help our people.
A good one.
So,
good one.
viewers, we thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being there from when we began and until now. We are lapping it up. God bless you so much. Please, if you've not subscribed, feel free to do so. The number of the counselor David is here. He's also an elder in the church. So feel free to call, as he has said. We're going to put it right here so that you can feel free to call at any time you have. He's said that these are not problems. We call them challenges. So if you're challenged somewhere, feel free to call for help. Don't keep things for yourself, and God will bless you. Until the next episode, God bless you.